we still doing this podcast? Or should we quit
Honestly, no,
now?
I put my resignation letter into HR last week and I never got an
Okay.
email back, which really speaks to the company culture.
Hmm. So does that
Not
mean
a big
like
fan of
you're,
it.
yeah, I guess you're done. So I guess we have to kind of pursue this full time.
Yeah, no, I'm talking about to the podcast. I put my resignation letter in
Oh, I thought you were
to
talking
the
about the other
HR
stuff.
person
Yeah, yeah,
and
yeah.
I haven't heard back. It could be
Great.
because we don't have an HR person, but
Dude,
I'm
do you
I'm 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 gonna put it on the culture.
I would agree. I mean, the culture is pretty could be way better, honestly. I was going to say on the note of HR and payroll, do you know anyone that could hook us up with some software?
I want to give a good plug to my good old company APS, A as in pineapple. Oh crap, I always do that. I do that on cold calls because
Nice.
I say A as in apple, P as in pineapple, S as in Sam. So APS because P and T are hard to get over the phone. Very hard to get.
Very hard.
But I'm a
Use the phonetic
professional.
alphabet, like
y-
military. Alpha,
You're a
Bravo,
phonetic alphabet.
Charlie. I
Well,
know.
I'm
That's
essentially
why I
doing
talk that
that.
way.
I'm just not using the military version. Still a phonetic alpha. It's still a
You're
phonetic.
just using Keegan's phonetic alphabet.
Yeah, which is 10 times more efficient but never works.
I heard
Either
the
way,
military is getting ready to adopt your phonetic alphabet.
I hope they adopt me and
Nice.
just use me as like a propaganda piece to start wars.
Like Captain America, like when in the first Captain America movie, he was like just a show piece basically to use as,
Hmm.
donate to the war. But then he's like, I want to actually fight. But all
And
they
then they
did
were
was
like,
like put them in plays and posters and all that stuff. So that could be you.
that could be me. That could be me. But regardless, back to the plug. APS Payroll, it's the company I work for. Let's just say I've hit all of and above my quarterly goals this year. And I mean, that's what I bring to the table. And if you're not bringing that to the table, if you're not bringing equal that to the table, then you know what, we're not eating. So get
Exactly.
used to
There's
it.
no bread. For
I'm a
anyone who needs,
salesperson at heart.
yeah, there you go. So, casual plug that I'm going to plug for Keegan's plug. If you guys, any of our listeners are looking for HR and payroll software, reach out, drop a comment. I know someone, the other 50% of this podcast, that could probably get you hooked up.
318-828-81. Leave a comment for the last two numbers.
Oh, so
Oh
flirtatious.
man, what?
Please. But we're digressing one more time, as we said last week, since we do it so often. But welcome back to this next episode. I was about to say anything and everything, but interestingly
It's
enough,
not.
some events transpired over the last week to where we had to kind of change things up. And I'm sure some of our listeners are wondering, well, where the heck is anything and everything? Why is it showing Thoughtify? So we had to go down a little rabbit hole because evidently anything and everything was taken like 10 times over. Some podcasts that had been started already that, trickled out, some that were kind of going recording recently, but not really. So there was a lot of intermittent stuff, and we just ultimately decided to make a command decision to, rather than potentially get into a naming battle and have to maybe deal with all that stuff in the future, let's just go ahead and change it early. And that's where we settled on Thoughtify, conversations about anything and everything. So
Hey,
if you guys were wondering why in the world we are now called Thoughtify, that is the short story.
we were pretty prideful to think that we would be the first people to have an idea about a podcast that was called Anything and Everything. Turns out that's a pretty common idea, and there's been a lot of podcasts started with multiple episodes. Most of them have fizzled out, which we are trying to make that not the reality of our situation. But yeah, it was just a litany of, and there was also everything and anything. There was,
They tried to
podcast
get
mix the name
creative
up.
and switch it up. Yeah.
Exactly. Went dyslexic on us. And yeah, I'm not going to sit here and try to claim the Thoughtify. I'm going to say it was both of us, but I think it was me.
No, it was definitely me.
It was not you.
It was
I just said I
100%
wasn't
me.
gonna try to claim it, and then I said it was me, and then I said it wasn't you,
Yep.
so I see where my brain was
Because I
actually
remember
going there.
specifically saying it, and you're like, "Oh, dude, that's awesome."
Nope.
Yep.
I think this is how, like, my life goes, like, people have
No,
significant events,
absolutely not.
and
That
I
was
just
my idea.
remember them as mine. Like, I went to, like, I'm gonna go to my sister's graduation or master's degree, and then I'm gonna tell people that I've got a master's degree, and be like, "I
Yep.
wasn't I walked across this. What are you talking about? You
Yeah.
guys all
There's
flew
pictures
out
to
to see
prove it.
me."
I
It's
was
like,
there.
I was there. I just wasn't wearing the gown because I think it's stupid.
Ooh. You know what that's like?
What?
Not bringing up last week's episode, but a Mandela effect, where alternate timelines are crossing over. And what if, in some other timeline, Keegan Glick did go back to get his master's from the University of Arkansas, and it was you walking across that stage, and you're having memories of an alternate life?
Well, she hasn't graduated yet, so
Way to
maybe
just
I am. You
ruin
never know.
you ruined that. You ruined that completely. We could have set that up so well.
But here's the cool thing, getting back to the topic at hand, which is where we should stay on the hand, the topic at hand. Maybe
I
both
like the
hands. I
foot
don't know.
better.
But you would think that someone, okay, anything and everything isn't there. We did a deep search and we are in the process of copywriting and trademarking and owning this. So please, if you
Yep.
hear this, don't even try because
Yep.
we were
Thoughtify
first.
TM trademark. It's ours. Do not take it. And I'm pretty
Exactly.
sure
But
that's a good base level that we can do right
there's
now.
no one else, anything out there named Thoughtify. And I
Yep.
hope that we get into a legal battle with Spotify that will amplify our notoriety. And then we can, instead of, we'll get, I was literally thinking about this today. I was like, what if we get sued? And then we get to the end of being sued and we're like, hey, is Spotify doing okay? Can y'all keep the lights on? They're like, yeah, of course Spotify's doing okay. It's like, okay, let's turn this into a feel good story. You guys commend us for our creative efforts and don't sue us for a bunch of money. We'll do whatever you ask, but you promote the podcast and you, for our
Spotify
efforts,
exclusive.
exactly. You make it a Spotify exclusive. And I think I'm intentionally going to try to get sued now.
I think that's a good rule of thumb. And for some reason, I feel like that'd be an amazing episode of South Park.
It would
Have they
definitely
done
be one of
any
the premises they'd start with.
have they done anything like that? Be like, guys, we should intentionally get sued.
They have done similar stuff. Was there an episode where they tried to get canceled? I think. I
I
don't know.
feel like they did.
Well, I mean, their entire existence has been saying
Yeah,
the worst
getting canceled.
possible things that could potentially get. I mean, before canceled was even a thing, they were doing it
Getting
hard.
canceled. Yeah.
I mean, I remember they came out with an episode. It's one of the only banned episodes of South Park, and it's episode 200 with Tom Cruise in it. And Tom Cruise, they made fun of him multiple times, and he got so upset that he like really went into like the legal side and all this stuff. And I don't remember if it's this episode or if it's another one with Tom Cruise. It was back when people were accusing him of being gay, which, back when being gay
Yep.
wasn't cool, they would do that to like, if you were a bad star, they'd be like, well, we're just going to run a bunch of stories that say you screw dudes.
Yep.
And
P. Diddy.
the episode, Tom Cruise had taken a job or had a situation where he was packing fudge. So everyone was calling him a fudge packer.
Fudge Packer.
And the kids were like, they were talking to him and he's sitting there putting fudge in packages. I don't get why they're calling me a fudge packer.
Reminds me of the Kanye West one with him
I'm a gay
lighting fish
fish.
sticks.
You know how they thought of that idea? Oh, I think we talked about it before, but just for the podcast sake, they have Matt Stone and Trey Parker have creative retreats with their friends that are also comedians, and they're not comedians, but they are comedians or actors or whatever they are, people that they think are good at writing. And it was, who was it? The guy who played,
Not Bill Hader. Was it?
It was Bill Hader. Yeah, it was Bill Hader.
Okay.
Bill Hader, they were in a zip lining trip for like a week at their place, I think in Colorado or something. And Bill Hader was the one that came up with the joke. And he literally said it while they were in line waiting to zip line. And then either Matt or Trey turned around and was like, "Wait, pull out your phone. Has that ever
Write
been
that
said
down.
before?" And they literally
Uh-huh.
found out that it had never been said, then built an entire episode around it.
I'd like to equate that instance as us coming up with Thoughtify. It's
We
just
just didn't
never
make
been
as much
done.
money off of it.
It's just, yeah, not quite. Not yet, at least.
Not
There's
yet.
still time. There's still time.
Yeah, I told my dad, I was like, if we make money off of it one day, it'd be cool. And he just pretty much was just like, yeah, yeah, sure, 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 yeah, yeah. And it's just like, okay, I'm gonna
All
dream
the
for
more
nothing.
reason we're going to. Hey, man, dedication, stick with it. Keep going. We'll get there.
100%. I mean, I mean, the other podcasts that we
Consistency
saw
is the
that
big
were,
thing.
yeah, the other podcasts that we saw that were anything and everything literally all stopped at about 5, 6 episodes.
Yep.
And they had been back in like 2022 was the latest one. There was one that was still coming out with some, but they were two old dudes that were, from the get go. I'm just like uninteresting, not cooler than us. We're in our 30s. You guys are probably in your 60s, and I don't have a follow up for that, but we're better than you.
That's about it. That's all we got to say on that topic. So
That's
yeah,
all we got
long
to say.
story short, that is why we are now called Thoughtify.
20 minutes later,
20 minutes later. Jeez. So how's the day? We'll
man.
give a quick rundown on how everything's going before we dive in. Not like we
Yeah,
haven't dove in yet or dived in.
divin,
Dividend
divin is
dividend
the past tense.
dividend like
We have
stocks.
divin in the water.
Yes.
Um,
I like that.
but it's been good, man. I say the biggest highlight right now is that work is going really well. Not that anyone cares, but
I care.
I'm a natural salesperson. I've been doing it for almost 7 years, and I've really gotten the hang of it. It's something that I really, really understand. I enjoy it to an extent, like I enjoy my job, but it can be very tedious at times. But outside of that, man, um, I always make this joke when people ask me this. I'm just like, dude, people ask me this like maybe I don't see it like once, besides once every year. And then every time it's like, so what have you been doing? Working, and I drink on the weekends sometimes, and that's it.
Yep. Pretty much.
As you get older, just know that your life becomes very mundane unless you try to assassinate the president like two people, or the former president like two people have. But before we
Yeah,
jump off
wasn't
onto
there?
a
I thought there
tangent,
was a
like,
third attempt that came
was
out
there? Oh,
supposedly.
I did hear something about that.
Yeah,
That's
it was. I
insane, dude.
think he was at a rally, and then some van or some car full of explosives
Yep.
got found. And it's just,
Yeah.
dude, tell you what, man, not to go down this politics road, but that's crazy. Like in today's time, like name other candidates or former presidents, like in our lifetime that we can remember, which hasn't been many, but that have like these instances that have come out, like attempted assassinations. To my knowledge, dude, I haven't heard anything of the sort until now.
Well, not even haven't heard anything in terms of it happening, but like in terms of it happening, where's the news story?
Right.
Where is this like
Exactly.
it should be everywhere. If this
Should
was the
be.
other side, it would just be like that our TVs would turn on by themselves.
It'd be on 24/7.
Yeah, you could have no your TV doesn't have to be plugged in. It would turn on and CNN would be right there.
Yep. All
Yeah.
right.
So,
That's enough
but
politics talk,
yeah,
though.
enough politics.
We're not going to dive
Um,
into that. We're going
right.
to make it a little more lively.
But here we go. I'm kidding.
But
Um,
here we go.
but yeah, my review of the day was pretty boring. I did go to the Addison Oktoberfest last weekend, and that was, man, I just love Addison festivals. The Addison Park is just such a great place. Like when there's a lot of people there and vendors and whatnot, a lot of people are sitting on the grass and bands playing. It's just, I love Oktoberfest.
Is that where they have Kaboom Town every 4th of July?
Hmm.
Okay, that same area. Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember you and I went with former individuals that we were dating. Um, shoot, that was pre-COVID. And
Dang.
yeah, I remember we all went, drove down together. It was fun.
Yeah.
Super packed. Um, I think I want to say that's like one of the biggest firework festivals, at least in Texas, if not
They
the
tout that.
surrounding area. Yeah.
They tout that.
Pretty
I'm not a
impressive.
massive fan of fireworks. I'm not that
Yeah.
I like them. I just like it's it's just less of an event in terms of like I love the Oktoberfest is beer. Everyone's drinking, everyone's having a good time. Not that people don't get drunk with fireworks as well, but it's just more of a once the show's over, like the entire vibe is just done. It's just like, all right, the
Yep.
fireworks went off. Let's just all shut off the fun meter and go home and everything closes down.
And
But
sit in traffic for like 2 hours getting out because getting out of Kaboom Town, if you stay the entire time, is a nightmare.
yeah, I mean
Absolute nightmare.
anywhere there.
Yeah.
But
It's
I
fun
was
though.
going
I
to
mean,
ask
if you
you,
haven't. Yeah.
and what did you say? I apologize.
No, I was gonna say, like, for those that haven't at least live in DFW, go check it out one 4th of July. Super, super cool. Definitely worth going. But to make it maybe an every year thing, to me, it's like when you see fireworks, it's like, okay, I've seen fireworks. Like fireworks are fireworks. Depending on how much money, an organization or a city decides to pour into a fireworks
Hmm.
show, then it's cool. But like when you're just seeing fireworks, I mean, it's just like, okay, that's the same thing.
And you know what's the worst thing about fireworks is they're cool, they're big, but then all of a sudden they're like, and this is the biggest firework Texas has ever launched. And it shoots, and then you're just so underwhelmed, and you're like, oh, I thought,
Yay.
yeah, you're just like, oh, that was quick
Golf
and
clap.
cool, right? Yeah,
Let's break
little
out the
tap.
tannerite and go shoot it. How about that?
People have done some, dude, I've seen so many videos of people who are so dumb and they get like a couple pounds or whatever of tannerite and they put it in a refrigerator or
Oh,
something like that.
dude.
And then they shoot it
Yeah.
and the door like flies right, but like if they would have been in front of the door, they would have been decapitated. And it's just
Hmm.
like, dude,
It
here's a
doesn't
good
take much.
example. When we were at the Baylor and Air Force game, dude, we were in the stands high up
Yeah.
and their little fire things went off, you could feel the heat all the way from the middle of the field, like aggressively. So
Yeah.
think of a freaking bomb, like a
Hey,
2,000-pound bomb, dude. Like th-
no.
we have no point of reference for how intense that actually is. And I will say that when you watch bombs, like you're like, oh, I thought it was going to be a little bit bigger than that. You know, the movies make it, always over dramatic. But in
Yeah.
terms of what it does outside of the explosion to the surrounding area, dude, we
It's
have
pretty
no point
gnarly.
of reference, and that is
Mm-mm.
it's scary.
Yeah. Kind of reminds me, I was watching Top Gun Maverick last night, the
Still
sequel.
haven't seen it.
You, what? You still haven't seen the sequel?
I did just say that.
I know. I'm just like wrapping my head around that. I find that hard to believe, but at the same time, I don't.
You don't at
Because
all.
it's just like, yeah, going back to your movie philosophy, at least what it used to be. It's like, oh, just tell me what happens. I'll still be just as surprised when I actually go watch it. I'm like, no, you won't. It
That
ruins
used to
it.
be true.
Oh my gosh, it drove me nuts. But thankfully, he's come over to the light side.
I have. Chase used to,
I'm like, I
even
will not
though
do
it
this.
didn't affect him, he would get so upset that I would ask. Like he'd go, so let's say it was Avengers, and I'd just be like, hey, dude, just tell me what happens. I really just want to know what happens. Again, I don't care. I promise you the directors are going to do a better job of your rendition of telling me. But eventually, like I started getting into some things that I really liked, and I was just like, not to Chase, because Chase would never anyways, but to anyone, I'm just like, do not tell me one damn thing. I just want to like I'm running out of things to enjoy in life, and if you take this away from me, it's going to get violent.
Yep. So we spent a lot of work, a lot of hard work, blood, sweat, and tears to get him to this point. So I'm happy to say that he's arrived.
Mostly blood. But what about
Yes.
your day, man? What about your day? That's what I've been trying to like return and ask you the entire time, but like we just keep going on different
Keep
things.
going. Yeah. It's good. I mean, this week's kind of been, I don't want to say slow. I feel like it's one of those weeks where it feels just normal, which is kind
Yeah.
of funny to think about. because traditionally we'd sit there and talk, "Oh, this week's going really fast. Oh, dude, this week is just dragging on." Like this week just feels normal for once, which is kind of
Yeah.
cool. Nothing
Yeah.
crazy happening at work. Just getting ready to wrap up some end of the month things. Um, yeah, I mean, slow on the Western Front on my side.
Well, dude, I did
Quiet on the
forget.
Western Front.
Are you trying to make a war joke? Are you joking about war?
No.
It's not a joke. It's serious.
Identity theft.
I can't be
I have a
associated with
story about
someone that does
identity
that.
theft.
Identity theft,
I
that's a serious crime.
Yeah, and I went through it. I can tell that story sometime too, if you guys are interested. Was a pain in my butt.
The buttocks.
Absolute pain. The buttocks. But go ahead.
The
What were you gonna say?
buttocks. Yeah, I forgot to add that. Here's my philosophy. People are always like, "Oh, you don't need to do heavy lifting. You're in your 30s and stuff." And the weight resistance training, especially heavyweight, makes your bones really strong, and it's one of the major contributors to early aging or later aging is staying fit and having more dense bones. Like weight training is very important. And so I mama didn't raise no bitch. And when I go in the gym, if I'm going to do legs, I don't feel good unless I do heavy legs because I hate them so much. And I just want to feel like I really did something. So, long story short, I was going into the gym today and I did not want to be there. I actually lied to myself and I was like, "You're not going to do legs. We're not doing legs today. We're skipping leg day. We'll do it later in the week." But in reality, if I don't do legs first, then I will rationalize it out of the workout plan later in the week. Never happens if I don't do them first. And if it does, it is a miracle. And I was walking to the gym and then all of a sudden I see this dude that I don't really like. And no, I don't not like him because nothing besides like I've gone out of my way to try to be friendly with this person and he's just been very rude to me a few times. But he also works out a lot. And as soon as I saw him, my brain goes, "Oh, it's time for some deep heavy squat. Like we're going to go in there and alpha this gym." And I hurt myself. I hurt my back. But I wasn't even doing anything like that I don't normally do. I was just instead of like not doing legs like I said, I immediately decided I was like, "Nope, I'm going to do legs." And I was squatting, I'm gonna give myself a little toot toot.
A little pat on the
I was
back.
squatting 450 grams.
Nice.
That's pretty crazy. I
Nice.
was doing
That's a lot.
275 for sets of 8. And the first set, I was like, "Ow, that hurts really bad in the middle of my back." And I guess I just didn't warm up enough.
Hmm.
And then I was like, "All right, just come and feel it out. You got it. Just feel it out. Just get in there and have some better form."
Loosey goosey.
And I was like, "Yeah, that made it way worse." And then I just stopped and left.
Did you feel a pop or
No,
did it just
it was
strain?
definitely a muscle strain because like it was one of
Okay.
the. Have you ever had a situation where you feel as like in terms of transitioning or you're thinking about it too much, one of your muscles like forgets that it needs to do something for a second?
And it like tenses right after because it forgot?
Yeah, like kind of like that, but it's almost like I was trying to just make sure I was had a really engaged core. And as I was thinking about that, like I guess maybe I moved my shoulders a little bit and it just like I felt this muscle like stop and then restart. And then like because it had to restart under 275 pounds. And
Yeah.
then it was just like, ow, that's not what they're designed for. But yeah, I'm dumb.
You know what I heard would help
Oh
not
my
having low
gosh.
testosterone? All right, that's the one and only time I'm going to say it.
I hope people leave like I hope no, please feel free, dude. I can take it because my testosterone is so high that it's like it pretty much does drugs, my testosterone, because it's high
Mm,
all the time.
mm.
But um yeah, I hope people start making fun of me. I hope it gives us some traction and there's like, "Oh, it's the low T guy." And I'm like, "Yeah, it's me.
We'll
Let's
get
move
you
on
a
to something
t-shirt.
else."
Yeah.
Yeah.
You'll be recognized in public. Be like, no way, that's the low T guy. just like the Kool-Aid man,
Yeah,
except you're low key guy.
they can call me. You know, it's like Loki from Thor. It's Low
Yep,
T.
low T. Be a good
Low
rapper
T
name.
T T.
Low T.
Low
But
T.
dude, there's one thing I do want to get into
What?
from last week's episode because we kind of teased it a little bit, and I was like, no, let's wait to jump into that one.
We took off our
When we were,
clothes.
yeah, we did.
Wow, I forgot
Do you not
about that.
remember that?
It was a bit of a tease. You're right. Sorry,
Yeah,
fans. Got to check
just
out our
the
other website. Just kidding. We don't do that
yeah.
if we're not together.
Mm, yep,
Mm,
we're digressing from that one. But
digress hard.
video games, dude. Remember we started talking about Kingdoms of Amalur: Reckoning, and just the aspect of as you get older, and this could be anything in life, right? The nostalgia that you go back and think of, or that pops up in your head in current time when you look back at a past event or whatever, and just realizing, dang, that was a good time. Whether it's with video games, times you saw movies that just stuck with you, times with friends, trips, even just moments in school. Like, I mean, just thinking of one of those moments, not like we could recreate it. I guess we could, but it definitely would not even be remotely close.
They'd ask us
What's
why
the,
we were at prom.
yeah, senior prom.
Was that what you were going to say?
Yes.
Gosh, this is how much we literally think on the
Yeah.
exact same wavelength. We did not talk about this before, but I knew as soon
Yeah.
as he said that, I knew what he was going to
Yeah.
say.
We both got the Neuralink chips, and that's how we can talk is like telekinetically,
I
basically. And
put
that's
mine in
how
my
we
butt.
know. I've been wondering what smells. Uh,
Don't make fun of me.
but yeah, senior prom though. This was at a point where Keegan was still living in Shreveport, and my school's senior prom was coming up, and I was just like, you know what? I never really going, throughout high school. I was just never really interested in going to any dance, school dance wise. I was like, all right, senior year, like if we're gonna do it or if I'm gonna do it, I'm gonna do senior prom. So,
Hmm.
and that was the same year that 21 Jump Street came out. And that whole thing was like they're seniors in high school getting ready to graduate, and they end up going to senior prom, and they did the whole thing. Like they got the limo, and he's like, Channing Tatum's like, dude, we need to get doves. As soon as we open up the limo door, doves are going to fly out. I don't know, for some reason, like the nostalgic connection, well, not nostalgic, but just the connection at the time being we were seniors in high school and that movie came out and it was just so freaking funny and good. And like they had a senior prom in the movie. Just a whole lot of things came together. And then we ended up getting a group of individuals to go to prom, our dates and all
All
that
dudes.
stuff. And all dudes, all dudes. And it was just a really good overall night. I remember when we got there too, taking pictures and all that stuff. DJ was going and he's like, hey, if you have any song recommendations, you know, write it on a piece of paper, stick it in the bowl or whatever in front of the DJ booth. And I was like, at this time, not like
I do
Keegan
want to
and I
interrupt real
aren't.
quick and say that we were very, and still a big part of us is, but we were very into like club rave techno at the
I was
time.
literally just about to say that too.
Yeah, it
Not
was
even kidding.
aggressive.
And we still are, but just not as much.
Yeah,
I mean, definitely still listen to it, but like when you think of European like rave club music, it was EDM, it was aggressive. But there
yeah.
was this one song that we randomly came across and we could literally find it nowhere else except on YouTube. And it was like a burnt version of, an original that you just couldn't find. And we're just thinking, dude, this would be a good song to play. So I'll let you take it from here because you were the one that went and wrote it on the paper
So,
once or twice.
so not that we're anything crazy, but so there was this DJ. Obviously, it was a DJ at the whole thing. It's a high school prom, so it's very high school promish. And I went up there and I put it was called Project Lay by, who was it?
DJ Settler.
DJ Settler. And I think the name was wrong. I think it was like
DJ Settler
Settler by,
project, and
like,
then
yeah,
the
it
song
was
was
those
Lay.
words,
Yeah,
but maybe in a different order. And I went
yeah.
up there and I put one in, and there wasn't a lot in. So, like, I knew after a few songs, I was like, okay, then my song got skipped over. So I went up there and put it in again, and the song got skipped over. So then I went and took 30 pieces of paper and I filled all of them out with that one song. And then the guy gets on the microphone and goes, "Whoever put Project Lay by DJ Settler in here like 100 times, I can't find the song, okay? Please stop putting it in here." And then I pointed at the first person that I saw and I said it was him, and they
Yeah,
they killed him.
it's crazy. They took it really
High school
serious.
proms.
Yeah, it was pretty wild.
Yeah.
But then after, I mean, dance and all that was fun. Ended up going back home in the limo, and that was when like the after stuff started. And I remember going to one of my classmates' houses. She actually didn't go to prom, but she met up with us after the fact, and we ended up going to her house. And for some reason, like when we got together with her, she opened up the trunk of her car, and she literally had just a trunk full of fireworks, just because.
It
She's
was
like,
not
"Hey,"
firework time either.
it was crazy. But and she was just like, "Hey, do you wanna go light these off?" I was like, "Okay." So we end up
Ah,
going to light off all kinds of fireworks in the neighborhood and throwing cherry bombs at each other. And I remember when we first went to her house, I was like pretty big into airsoft at the time, and one of my airsoft guns, the airsoft shotgun,
looked
the
very real.
orange tip had fallen off, so it looked
Mhm.
like a legitimate Remington shotgun, like Remington 870 or whatever pump. And Keegan grabbed it, and we were driving over to her house and parked out in front while they ran inside for a second. So I was in, waiting in my car. Keegan got out leaning over the hood of my Challenger at the time with the with the airsoft shotgun, lights on and all that stuff. So there was like a pack of cars in this cul-de-sac. And this other like minivan pulls up, probably a resident that lived in that cul-de-sac. But I remember them pulling up and then coming to a stop because the headlights were like beaming on my car. And then you could totally see Keegan with a shotgun. And that car just
What's the
comes to a
problem?
dead stop and literally stays there for probably maybe 30, 45 seconds and slowly starts to back up and then just leaves. And I was like, "Hey, Keegan, maybe keep the shotgun in the car." I don't know.
I
But
thought it was because they were racist, but
yeah,
at the
they
end of
just
the
didn't
day,
like,
the
yeah.
shotgun might have had something to do with it. We didn't get the cops called on us, but
No,
that was a fun night. And yeah, thinking back to
very
the
memorable
the
night.
nostalgic aspect of that is just
Yeah.
a it really does something to your soul. But if we're bringing up old stories, I would love to bring up one. I already know you know what I'm going to say. So,
Yep.
growing up, let's just say when I was 16 to 20 years old, 20, 21, I
Late
was
high school into early college.
yeah, I was a rowdy individual. Not that I'm not anymore, but I just have different priorities. I have a job. I want to buy a house. Certain things don't line up with that. But what I'm trying to say is that sometimes I would be the bad influence. And my brother and I, who Chase is still good friends with, but we used to come in like as a group and whatnot. He had come in for the first time in a long time. He was over 21. We were 18 at the time.
I think we were
And
we were freshmen in college
so
at this
18,
point. So
19.
18, 19. Yeah.
Yeah. So this isn't even super funny part. Everyone has done this. So we got my brother
Yeah.
to buy us beer, and then we got in Chase's
But not
car,
just
and
any
we,
beer.
huh?
What was it?
It
Do you
was
remember what
it was Bud Light
plat
Platinum,
platinum?
which
Because
was
we thought we were
two.
really cool.
Oh my gosh, it was like Bud Light came out with something that was more than 4%, and everyone was like, "What
It was like
the
6%.
give me
Yeah.
a freaking shot!" So we thought Bud Light Platinum was the coolest thing in the world, and we got a 12 pack, and we were there, and we picked up two of our friends from the neighborhood who are still good friends of ours, and
They didn't
Lindsay
disown
and
us after.
Elizabeth. Huh?
They
Yeah,
didn't
they didn't.
disown us
They
after.
to they did not, but they definitely blamed us. It was there was no, like, partaking in the, like, "Oh, this is what y'all did." They're like, "No, this is what they did." But we picked
Yeah.
them up. So Chase was driving, and we drank this 12 pack on a cul-de-sac in his neighborhood, and then we're going back to his house, and Chase, obviously living with them, knows his parents pretty well. And
It's crazy, right?
right, me and my brother were both like, dude, it's fine. The we do not need to put these beer bottles in the trash can because one, it's going to be loud, and two, they're going to open up the trash can and they're going to see it. Like, dude, it's cool. It's completely cool. Leave them in the back of your car. Leave them in the back of your car. And Chase, the only like it was as if he had a gun to his head and he was like, no, 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 please, but I can't get shot. So like, just I guess I'll have to go along with what you guys say because you won't stop relentlessly trying to force this on me. And we did. And I'll
No,
let
you
you
said
kind of.
leave it in my car.
That's what I
Leave it in
said.
the back seat. Oh, I
Exactly.
thought you
That's what I
said
just
put it in
said.
the trash.
No, no,
Okay.
no, no. I was saying that we told you to leave it in the back seat, and you kept saying no, and we were just like, yes, it's the best idea ever. And I'll let you take it from here.
But just a quick caveat to that. Some of them Keegan ended up taking and chunking the bottles into the forest behind the house.
Which, if you look at the forest, looks like it goes way farther back than it does.
But ended up, yeah, chunking a few of them. And long story short, we go to bed next morning, all that stuff. Wake up. My dad
We
comes
went
in.
to bed that night, not the next morning. For anyone who's
Well, yeah, we went to bed that night,
yeah,
woke up the next morning. And dad comes in and all that stuff. And he's like, how was last night? We're like, fine. It's great. Why?
good time.
It's
What's your
fantastic.
problem?
What are you talking about?
Where were you on 9/11?
And yeah, exactly. And he's like, found something in the back of your car. I'm like, I knew it. See, I just knew it. And I think he also said too, he found some bottles in the forest.
How did those get there?
Yeah, it's crazy. And
We
long
got
story short, as this whole conversation was getting ready to kick off, Connor, Keegan's
my
older
brother.
brother, was like, "Yep, well, I got to dodge. It was fun this weekend. I got to get back to Shreveport at the time."
Hold on,
And
let me correct. Just because we had gotten caught,
yes,
and obviously, like, so Chase's dad was like, "All right, dipshits. I'm sorry. I do this every time, but all right, dummies. I walked out to the back of your car, and there's a full 12 pack of empty beers back there. Where'd that come from?" And Connor was kind of in the midst of this, but he was not living with my mom. He lived in a different state, I believe Arizona at the time, or wherever he was living. And he just kind of goes, "Yeah, that's crazy. All right, out. I'm out. See you guys." And he legitimately like
legitimately.
confessed to the fact he's the one who bought him, but he just
And then
his
left.
dad kind of said something to him, then he was like, "Cool, cool, 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 cool," and then left.
Yep. So then it was down to two of us. And
Yes.
yeah, we ended up having a good little chatting.
Oh, it
And
gets better.
yeah,
It
I'll
gets
let you tell
better.
the rest of that one.
So
This
that
was a
wasn't the
separate
only
time though.
that wasn't the only alcohol we stole. I don't remember if that was the same time or a separate time,
We
but
didn't steal
um,
it.
we borrowed it and we spit it back in the bottle and it was fine.
As in the beer. Yeah.
Yes. No, but I'm talking about you'll
Yeah.
remember. So
Yep. Oh, I do.
so long story. We need to stop saying that because it's always just a long story. But story being the way that we tell stories,
Yes.
we get ripped apart. Like Chase's dad is like a second dad to me, so treated me accordingly, and got very mad at the both of us. Got really upset with the both of us, and we had this long talk. Everything was going like, you know, we were in trouble, and it finally kind of started to go down or calm down a little bit, and we were kind of out of the trouble. And then Chase's dad walks out with a glass in his hand and goes, "Why does my vodka taste like water?"
So hold on real quick before you get there. It was actually this was a different time, I believe, because my grandpa was in town and he likes to
Yeah,
drink
you're right.
vodka tonic. And my grandpa goes to try the vodka and he's like, this tastes like water. And you're like, I don't know. It's crazy. Maybe it's bad. But yeah, you
You
take it
guys
from
need to
there.
buy better vodka. And yeah, I didn't realize that it diluted the taste that much. And I just told Chase, I was like, bro, check it. We're just gonna pour a little bit in this bottle. We'll put some water back in. Look at that. and yeah,
Because
it
he
froze.
asked too. He's like, "Do they freeze? Do they freeze it?" I'm like, "No." He's like,
I
"Okay,
don't
cool."
think science has made it there yet, so I guess someone will find out. Yeah.
Yeah,
And
and
there's
that
way
didn't end.
worse stories than that, but that was always one that stuck out because we got a little bit
Yeah,
caught there.
yeah.
But it was a
Just
learning
stuff you
moment.
do when you're younger makes
Yeah.
for a story in the future as you get past it. But in the time, it wasn't fun.
No. And speaking of that, let me tell you a funny story. I don't think I've told you this. So my buddy
What?
Michael, not Mike Winning.
Yep.
Gosh, I can't
Woods.
believe saying people's full names
Shout out
sometimes.
Mike Wenning and Mike Woods.
Okay, so both of them. We said both of their
I
names.
mean, might as well.
These are their
Mention Mike.
social
Let's just give him
security
a shout out.
numbers. Their credit card is this. Here's their address. But
Exactly.
so Mike Woods came over to my place last weekend because he changed jobs and part of his job is working from home now. And he has been going stir crazy. And I was like, dude, I just spent an entire day doing whatever. No, I had actually spent $3,500 on my vehicle that day. So I was like, dude, I'm not trying to drive anywhere. I'm really not trying to spend a bunch of money, nothing. So I was like, you can come over here. We can order a pizza and whatnot. So he comes over and he parks in the garage, and the tow truck comes up to him and was like, you need to get a visitor's code. And he was like, what? And he like pointed to the sign, and he was like, if you don't get a visitor's code, it will be towed. So I
Wow.
go out there and he's like, what's the visitor's code? I was like, I've never had a visitor's code. Now there's a little sign there, but I've never used it once. No one's apparently the tenant is supposed to be able to give them some code. Never seen anything about it. I'm sure I was the one who missed it regardless. I spent 5 minutes going, Mike, dude, I've lived here for 5 years. Not one person has ever gotten towed. Ever. Like, dude, if you're down here, it's fine. What that guy was referencing is if you're inside the gate on a different floor of the parking garage, because I have one of my ex-girlfriends, I parked her car up there one night and she didn't have a sticker. That car got towed. So I was like, dude, you got, like, I swear to you, you are not going to get towed, dude. I promise you're not going to get towed. So he stays over to my at my place till about 12:30, and we are walking down the hallway of my place, and I go, dude, if we were to walk out there and your car would be towed, it'd be one of those moments where like it would be funny in the future. It wouldn't be funny right now. It would just be hilarious in the future. We would look back at this and laugh. And he was just like, ah ha ha. And then we walked out there, looked to the left, looked to the right. And I was like, something's off. It's like my
There's a
car or my truck is gone. So yeah, I was that right before walking into a moment, I just put my foot in my mouth so hard. I was like, wouldn't it be funny if we walked out there and we look back at this one day and laugh if your car was towed? So confident that it wasn't going to be towed. And it was just like one of those slap in the face moments where you walk out and you're just like, well, I wish I wouldn't have said that.
so it got towed.
It got towed. And I only
Man,
because I'm a good friend. If I wasn't, I would have said, dude, that's your problem. Honestly, you shouldn't have listened to me. The tow guy talked to you. But I'm splitting the cost with him.
there you go. Was he? I mean, obviously able to get it back that night.
No, next day.
Dang, that sucks.
You know how much it costs?
How much? $500.
$356.
Wow, that's crazy. I wonder if the apartment gets like a split of that money.
I don't think so, but maybe. I don't know. But have you ever gotten a vehicle towed or been around someone that has?
I've went back when I was going to college actually, and I have the email to prove that I was allowed to park in said parking lot. And I'm sure a lot of everyone,
Ongoing legal
whoever
battle.
drove on campus, was like, "No, you can only park here. You can only park here." And the student passes, blah blah blah. I had written permission to park in one of these specific lots as long as I had a blue placard or tag. And I was like, okay, cool. So long story short, park there, park there, park there, park there, park there, park there. Never had an issue until one day I get out of class and I see an orange boot on my tire. And I'm like, huh, okay. So yeah, I didn't get towed, but I got like impounded in a way on
Well,
campus. So I had to go to the whole garage and they're like, oh, so you're that person. So like evidently I was like known on the parking staff at North Texas. And I was just like, yeah, that's me. I was told I could park here. And like, "Oh, well, you can't now." So I had to go then get a whole separate parking pass, park elsewhere. It was a fiasco and it was dumb. And I remember like I was like, "Crap, I don't have the email." Like that said I could park in this parking lot until I think
Coincidentally,
after I graduated. I was scrolling through my emails and I came across it, and to this day, it is still in my inbox. So I've been like, what if I went back and be like, "See, I did have the email."
I'm gonna get this money back. I'm not paying for that damn boot.
Well, being it was my quote unquote first offense, they're like, "Yeah, we'll let you off this time, but
Ah,
don't
come
do it
on,
again."
dude. You're so lucky that they
Yeah,
did that for you.
yeah.
But if you go to a like, here's the thing: when you're going to pick up your vehicle from a tow lot, you're fired up. You're
Mm,
like,
I bet.
I literally will fight someone in this. Like, if they even say one crossword to me, I'm gonna freak out. I know I'm in the right. I was parked. They got this wrong. Now I have to like, and bro, that thing is like a fortress inside. They are ready. You go in, you can't even see the person behind the counter. It's a bulletproof double-sided mirror where all you see is yourself, and there's a little hole and a speaker where you can talk to the person, and they are, without you being mean at all, the meanest people ever. They are just prepared for you to be a complete
Punk.
punk. Yeah, that's a good word versus what was coming to my mind. And they treat you as if you have already tried to fight them. And they are so rude, and they're so, and it's like, man, I can only imagine the situations that led up to that being the protocol, because you're just like, I'm gonna freaking yeah, yeah. And it's like you can't even see anyone. You're just like, where are you guys? It's like, I want to talk to someone. And
Show
they like give you
yourself.
your exactly give your keys through the hole, and you feel so demeaned, and you're walking like you're literally. I don't know if anyone's ever been in the holding area of a prison. I have. It was specifically for a tour. Nothing outside of that.
For a school
Just a
paper,
tour.
wasn't it?
Yeah, school paper outside
Yep.
of high school. And
Nice. Summertime.
and it literally feels like the intake room to a prison. All the seats are really hard and plastic. You can't see through the windows, and it's just like, dude, tow truck. The one person I would never mess with, like legitimately try to be like, dude, let's go, is a person driving a tow truck. I know they are armed to the teeth.
Oh my gosh. All those guys that go on repo missions,
Oh,
like where
dude,
they
they've
pull up
gotta
with a
be.
tow truck and drop that anchor and then literally take the vehicle away as people are chasing them down the street.
I mean, and you, especially if you go to a more crime-ridden area, which
Mm,
there are a lot of here in Dallas. Yeah, dude,
yeah.
I mean, I carry a gun with me almost everywhere I go outside of where it's really not allowed. I either have it in my car or on my person. And because of that, I am so now I'll get road rage in the vehicle and get really
It's
upset.
typically how it works.
Yeah, no, I get road rage in the shower. And I just think back
Nice.
to those moments, and I just start freaking out and just punching you. Just, you're not going to cut me off. And then they're like, sir, this is a Wendy's.
Exactly.
But um, yeah, when I get road rage in Texas, I'm very, very cognizant of the fact that if I get out of my car, if I really try to push this, if it's really going that far and I'm that upset, the chances I am going to get shot are so high. Everyone in Texas has a gun. And look at that. It makes me more cognizant of the fact that something bad could happen that I don't intend and that I don't want, even if it was justified. Like, I don't want to be in that situation regardless. And it's just like,
Yep.
you know what? I value my life enough to stay in this car and not instigate this situation. There was a dude this year back in early summer, like right when it was getting warm again, in Fort Worth, that got in a road rage incident with a guy.
I think I heard that. Yeah, it was a motorcyclist, wasn't it?
I don't remember what it was.
Or
I
one
think
of
the guy,
them?
but the guy was driving with his wife. He got in a
Yeah.
road rage incident with a guy, and the other guy shot randomly at the guy's car, ended up hitting his wife in the chest and killing her. and then speeding off and never getting caught.
Golly, man. That's just, I don't know. It's crazy to think like, anytime you hear of stories like that on the news, it's like, oh, and, some other state, some other city. But it's just like when you start to hear stuff like that happen literally in your neighborhood, that's, that's humbling. I mean, without a doubt in today's time, you have to have your radar up. Cognitive awareness. I mean, just be aware of your surroundings.
You want to hear a crazy story from where I grew up?
That's the beautiful part of Louisiana, right? That you
Yeah.
liked?
I mean, the best
Yeah.
part.
Yeah.
So there's this dude, and anyone, Zach, I know when you listen to this, you're going to know exactly what I'm talking about. Gunner. I won't say his last name, but he was this guy in my town that was a small guy, but he was a scrappy dude. He was very thuggish, sold a lot of drugs, was just like lived that lifestyle. He was one of those dudes that acted black that if you heard him on the phone, you would have thought. Like he just talked like a drug dealer. He talked like a hood dude. And I'm not saying that only black people talk like that, but in terms of the hood, he was trying to be a part of it consistently. And he had been to jail multiple times. I mean, that dude robbed someone with an AK. That dude, he was crazy. Me and
Wow.
him actually got in a fight, a fist fight when I was in high school. And luckily he wasn't with crazy people, but I'll say I won, nothing crazy. Anyways, um,
I beat him.
he was at a gas station. He had recently been in prison, or either prison or jail. I don't know which one. There is a difference. And this dude came up to him at a gas station that was literally 3 streets away from where I lived. Like there was the main road, and then you went in. That was like 4 to 5 streets, and my house, where I was living with my mom at the time, was right there. And this dude comes up to him. He's like, "Dude, give me your money." And he was like, "Oh no, no, no! Like I'm not." Like he like kind of played the victim card, and he walked to his truck to quote unquote grab his money, grabbed a pistol, and the dude was following him to his truck to like be like, "Give me the stuff." Turn around and shot that dude point blank in the forehead. And
Oh my
that
gosh.
day, I drove by and I saw the guy's body covered by a yellow tarp, and I was just like, "Move to Shreveport, guys. It's a great place."
Jeez, man. Where's
Yeah.
he at today?
Oh, I haven't looked him up in a long time. I don't assume that he's the CEO of the Fortune 500 company, but I hope he proves me wrong.
Yeah. Man, that is wild.
Let me actually
Jeez.
let's see.
So while you're looking that up, just thinking of more nostalgia. Around, what was it, high school time, early college? No, it had to have been high school, right? Where
Mhm.
Kingdoms of Amalur, just like the nostalgia when it comes to video games too. I mean, tremendously one of the best games I think we have ever played. To the point to where it was like so good and we were both so ingrained because Keegan would come into town, you know, once a month, something like that. And literally like the majority of what we would do is we would play this game. Open world, like fantasy, kind of like a Lord of the Rings type thing where you could have, be a wizard or a mage or you know, a knight or whatever. But the amount of time we put into that game, but what was crazy, I did not touch that game whenever Keegan would leave. I'd be like, dude, no, I'm gonna hold strong and I'm gonna wait for you to come back into town. So it's just like one of those games that we would only play when we were together. And my gosh, single handedly one of the best games ever. Fast forwarding to what we were talking about last week, um, they ended up remaking that game. I know Keegan played it, and from what we remembered, and it's like the touchy subject of, oh, this was so amazing way back when, but then you're fearful of like, okay, if I go back to play that game or I don't know, revisit that instance or, rewatch this movie that you haven't seen in forever. And it's just like, this isn't as good. It's that, connotation or that dilemma of like, I would love to go back and play this or watch this, but at the same time, like, what if it's not the same and I end up ruining the memories that I had of it?
Don't go back to Six Flags. It will happen.
Yeah.
I remember
I always
having
found
such
that
a good
place
time at
very
Six
overrated.
Flags. I mean, it's the only reason I had a really good time when I was a kid is we went on a field trip and it was like on a Tuesday or Wednesday, so there was no one in the park. And dude, we just got to ride any roller coaster we wanted as many times as we wanted. And then I went like 3 years ago with Mike, and it was just like, dude, these roller coasters aren't even fun. Like,
Yeah.
I get better thrills than this when I lose my car in a parking lot, you know. So it was just,
Yep.
yeah,
It's not
it
the same.
definitely ruined the memory of Six Flags, and also I was an adult, so I was just like, "Man, all this costs so much money," and I just
Yeah.
waited an hour in line for 2 minutes and 30 seconds.
Yep.
I'm gonna need some counseling on why I did this.
Exactly. Now we're just more conscientious of everything we do. It's like we can enjoy, but we can't just enjoy. Because it's like now we're the ones buying everything, paying for it, setting it up, doing all this stuff, driving there. It's just like when you think of all these external factors that come into play and going to do something, you're just like, my time is probably better off just not doing that. So I'm just not going to.
Yeah. My goal in life is to be able to go out to dinner with my friends and be able to pay for the bill and not be worried. That's my goal in
Joe
life. That would
Rogan.
make
Joe
that
Rogan
would
said
no,
that.
no, 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 please don't do that because I know I do this, but like when Joe Rogan said that, I was like, dude, I've said that forever. I've said that to myself. It's
Mm,
like always been like in terms of what I would feel like being comfortable. I don't need a massive house. I don't need super nice cars. I don't need all the nicest things. I just would love to be able to have a good time with the people I love and pay the bill and not have to
sweat it.
be worried about checking my bank account. I'm not saying that I'm necessarily I could take us all out and we could all go eat and whatnot and I could pay for it. But it just like I want to be able to do it as if like it's not something that is a big deal to me or that
Big
is
thing.
like
Yeah.
I couldn't do multiple times, and it's just
Right.
that's my ultimate goal, man, is just really just to be able to have a good time with the people I love and support myself and somewhat support some of them or be able to, and I would
Yep.
be happy. I really don't. I've often thought about getting a really big house, and not that I have enough money to buy a massive house, but just in terms of like I have plenty of money to buy a nicer car. I have plenty of money to get a nicer apartment, or go buy a house that I could spend all my money on. But it's just
Yeah.
like I don't want that.
Yeah.
It'd be cool to have, but I'd rather have it because it's so easy to get versus it being like the biggest thing that I did. I don't want to have a
Right.
really nice car and it be the biggest expense in my life versus living the lifestyle where I could buy a really nice car and it's a normal expense in my life.
Right. Exactly. I'm right there
Yeah.
with you. That's why I just bought two more cars. I actually took on more debt to do it too. I got the higher interest
Versus
rate because that's what you're supposed to do.
what I did was I canceled one credit card and then I took out another before that was reported. I spent all the money on that one. I'm going to cancel that next week. And
Yeah.
then and then we'll see what happens to the cars.
Because credit cards are just free money. I mean, it doesn't withdraw from your account. So, yeah, just put it on the card
Don't
and
pay
that's it.
back your student loans. They'll never find you.
Exactly. It's like just a giant gift card
It
that
is.
you just don't pay back. It's just free. Imagine that free money. Hmm.
I did end up finding Gunner, and here is an arrest record from 11/30/2023 in Texas.
Ooh, he's in Texas. What
Yeah, a
part?
lot of people do always end up coming over to Texas, but
I think they all followed you because you were the first one to jump.
I was the first person ever to leave Louisiana. All of it, all it's
Yep.
just a bunch of inbred idiots. We got out of we never did the inbreeding part. We got out before it was a necessity.
Became a
Uh,
big thing.
yeah, before it was like what you needed to do to like meet people. Oh man, I just hate. I'm sorry. That's a grotesque joke, but there's someone out there that thought it was funny, and you're still giggling in your car or wherever you're listening to this podcast. And hey, I'm gonna give you a figurative air bones.
Fist
Ah,
bump. Huh?
fist bump,
Fist
boning
bump.
you with my fist. I didn't
That
mean to
was
do that.
awkward.
That is not what I meant to say. But yeah, I'm not gonna try to disparage this guy, but
Yep.
the bond was only $185, so it had to be something very, very minuscule for a bond to be $185. That's like
What would I mean? What could that have been?
it has to be a
Oh,
misdemeanor or something like that. It doesn't
yeah,
say what it actually was, but I mean, a bond of $185, like
it's like a parking ticket.
yeah, I mean, that's insane that that's even like a charged amount in terms of bond because
Yep,
bond is, I believe, so bond is set at 10% of the total cost in terms of what gets you out. And I could be wrong on that, but in terms
hmm,
of when you pay bond, let's say you have a bond of $50,000, someone has to pay like 10% of that for you to be able to get out, or
yeah,
a certain percentage of it, or at least that's the way I remember it. I could be wrong, but I don't think I am. And for your bond to be $185, that's not you definitely got either caught in a dumb situation that isn't a big deal, or you got arrested for 6 parking tickets or something.
pretty much.
But
We'll leave that one be. Yeah,
I hope he's doing okay. I wish ill on no one, and I love everyone, even the people who have wronged me. If you're listening to this, I still have love for you, and I hope you have an amazing life. And if I find you, I'm gonna get you.
he's gonna get you one way or
Oh,
the other. He's
yeah.
gonna find you. Yep,
I'm gonna get you
we'll do an
tangents.
all karaoke podcast episode.
It's gonna be our least viewed ever.
Yes, we'll get one, probably 2 views. That will be Keegan and I.
Yes. I still haven't
That's
listened to the last one. I need to.
it's pretty good. I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
It was had some good chuckles, some good moments of comedy in
Some little
there,
chuckity chucks.
some little Chucky Chucks. But yeah, well, I think unless there's anything else you wanted to bring up, probably a good place to put a pin in it for next week's episode. Audience, let us know. I mean, write in the comments things you want to hear us talk about, more life stories, fun instances that we've experienced. Um, I don't know, things that you find interesting, you know, whatever it might be that you want to hear us talk about, let us know. We are very interested in all kinds of topics. So if there's something we haven't quite touched yet, let us know. I mean, we're definitely open to all suggestions.
And this one is definitely, I'd say, out of all of them, this one was definitely the most freeform. And not that all of them aren't. It's just that sometimes we have a list of topics just in case we, run out of things to talk about, which very rarely ever happens. But this one was, extremely random. There was nothing planned. So I hope you guys enjoyed it. A little bit of a peek into our younger lives. We'd be more than happy to dive into some fun and funnier stories, or more fun, or whatever you guys think. But
More
yeah,
funner.
please give us
Yeah.
some feedback. We really, really appreciate any interaction. And if you're a consistent listener, I can't tell you how much we appreciate you. It's really cool. And this is just getting more and more fun. And trust me, we're not going anywhere. So episodes
Nope.
every week.
Even if it's nothing exciting to hear, we're just going to post random stuff. So you're not getting rid of us.
We're here, we're queer, and we like beer.
I could see you wearing a t-shirt like that.
I've got a
Low
couple of
T
them.
man.
I am Low T Man. I am here to make sure nothing gets done, and I'm going to procrastinate everything and also divert to the strongest man in the room.
Exactly. You know what we
Yeah.
could do for next week's episode,
Hmm.
and we'll talk more offline, but as our audience is listening, if this perks your interest, do some more do a deep dive into some crazy advancements in science and technology that could potentially allow for deeper space exploration, like, because I know we dabbled on the god particle too. We briefly mentioned it last week.
The Higgs boson.
Yeah, briefly mentioned that, the warp bubble, which could open up endless possibilities when it comes to space travel, creating the warp drive, basically bending time and space
Yeah.
to explore the universe, all kinds of cool stuff. I always enjoy talking about things like that. So
I mean,
sorry, audience,
we
if you're getting bored of it.
I was literally
It's
gonna
a fun thing we like to talk about.
I was gonna say, like, you were like, "Let's think of some new things," and then you went into space, and I was like, "It's new to us because we just like to stay
Technology
on
and
it," and it's
scientific advancement. Yeah.
exact but no, I mean, I trust me, that's, that's a key vein of our best friendship is talking about things like
Yes.
that. So if you're not into things like that, then you should be. And if you don't
We'll
like it,
make
then
you.
you should like it. And we're going to give you the latest updates with the easiest breakdowns because we can only speak in layman's terms. But we are definitely prolonging the end of this episode. So I
Absolutely.
appreciate all of you. I love all of you. I know Chase does as well. And I hope you guys have an amazing night. And thanks for tuning in again.
And we'll catch you on next week's episode.
Yeah, yeah.